Shattering the price myth. 3 things I want to cover with you in the next 45 minutes. It'll be an interesting challenge. Price isn't everything. A lot of people, seem to think it is, and seem to think it's the only way they can compete. There's a lot more to it than that. We're going to really get stuck into the cost of being low price, and what are the consequences of marketing yourself on that basis, and why it is very dangerous. And I'm going to start the whole debate, which will go through a number of these sessions, about the fact that you're already beating the big guys and how you can go about doing it. As Paul often says, retail's about 3 things. Getting them in, getting them buying, and getting them coming back. Yeah? Straightforward, isn't it? But that's really what it boils down to. The issue with getting them in, it's all about being really clear about promoting you and your business and what you stand for, because unless you're any good at that, you might as well be closed. You might as well not be there. So that side of the business is obviously clearly very important. But then, of course, once you've got them in, you've got to get them buying, because you don't want people turning up and being frustrated or disappointed at the experience that they have. So there's a whole load of things in your business around things like store layout, which can have a big impact on how you sell, how you're perceived. We've got a blog on that. 10 tips for better store layout, better product placement and store layout, which you can go and read and download and print off for yourself. And if you don't understand or have any parts of that you want to discuss, just get on the phone and drop me an email. Happy to do it. It's also about merchandising. Anybody like to guess where I took those photographs? PC World, yes. Now, you love them or hate them, whichever way it goes, it doesn't really matter. The one thing they do get right is their retailing is quite good. They use signs very well. The whole of that experience that they put together is something that you could all learn a lot from. And if you're not going out and mystery shopping and looking at the techniques that our friends at PC World are using, you're missing a trick. And I'll move on quickly. That's a great example of the use of signage. Again, if you want to find out about why that's a great use of signage, please read the blog. So it's getting them out, it's getting them in, getting them buying, and getting them back. Yes, repeat business, repeat customers. Really, really important. Lifeblood of many businesses, but not the only thing that you can rely on. You always need to be building at the same time. It takes months to find a customer, but seconds to lose one. So repeat business is all about building and maintaining your reputation. What can you do to do that? We're going to be talking about that in the next session in particular. Our dear friends again, they keep doing it, don't they? Why do they keep doing it? They keep doing it because they've got the right ideas. The problem is that they'll never be able to do it properly because they don't have the passion, they don't have the expertise, and they can never operate as a big organisation as you can as a small organisation. Yeah? The public will never believe that one of their employees cares or is as expert about their PC as you are. That is your advantage. And it's all also about your special offers. And I'm not talking about discounts and deals here necessarily. I'm talking about things like your free services. When somebody's come in and they've had a virus problem, it's about saying to them, well, come back in 6 months, I'll take another quick look at it for you, just to check that you haven't picked up anything in the meantime that you might not have noticed. If you sell them a new system, bring it in 6 months. I'll make sure it's still running optimally, that you haven't picked up unnecessary files, temporary files, or even a virus. Those are the ways in which you can encourage repeat business. Sometimes works and sometimes doesn't. Okay, why do people choose to shop where they do? What are the factors that affect their choices? Is it all about
convenience?
Right, convenience is certainly a point here. I'm going to give you some examples. I need to run through them fairly quickly, but convenience is going to come out as one of those points in particular. These are just based on personal experience. New kettle. Old kettle broke. Why need a new kettle? The problem was, this little switch here, on the old kettle, only broke after 9 months of use. That doesn't seem very good. We really like Kenwood kettles, but they broke down. What's wrong? The internet's a wonderful thing. We see that a lot of people have actually been blogging about it. A lot of people have been on sites making comments about it. We also see that Kenwood have been there, and Kenwood have said about how they've solved the problem and that they don't have that same issue. And we find reviews that say, yes, that's right. Faith restored in brand. We then say, right, where can we find these? Oh, they're down at local Currys. Now, we could have just bought it. But the issue is well, what's it like to use? What's the handle like? Yeah, is it that nice sort of slightly squeezy kind of rubbery handle? Is it a cold, hard plastic handle? Yeah? The wife likes, I don't know why, the wife likes a kettle with a lid that opens rather than filling it through the spout. When it opens, is it just a small hole or a big hole? Actually, that matter. I mean, a tap's only that big anyway, but it matters. And can you trust the colour on the screen? You can't, so you need to go and see it. So off we go to Currys, have a look. There it is. It's okay, but they've only got them in pewter and green. Oh my God. Nice kettle, wrong colour. So we come back. Internet's a great thing. Where else can we find them? Sheffield, which is 30 miles from where I live, so it's not exactly convenient. John Lewis. We go down, we have a look. Touchfield is there. Never knowingly undersold. Price is probably there or thereabouts. Looks like a great item. We'll buy it. So why did we choose them? 1, they had the range. They had the colours that were available. 2, we could touch, feel and try. We initially went to Currys because we wanted to touch, feel and try. We didn't buy it there because they ultimately didn't have the range. 3rd, never knowingly undersold. Price was not the major determinant. Of course I don't want to spend money unnecessarily, but it's not the deal breaker. Tyres on the car. Now I used to have a company car and then I didn't. When I had a company car, cost of replacing tyres doesn't really matter. The only thing that matters was the convenience about getting it done. Because I didn't use the car when I was at work, because I worked abroad. I used it at the weekends. So when I got the tyres fixed, I needed them to be done on a Saturday or a Sunday at somewhere that wasn't too far away from home, because I didn't want to waste time doing it. I started using QuickFit. When I went into QuickFit, there was all this stuff about prices on the walls. When I went into QuickFit, the mechanics treated me like I was a human being and not some kind of jerk who didn't know about anything about cars, which is fortunate because my father runs a garage and I've worked in one for years. But be that as it may. Then I stopped having a company car, but I carried on using QuickFit. Why? Because it was convenient. Because they'd done a job of making me believe that because they were price conscious, that their prices were probably okay. And because I could talk to people that would talk to me decently, sit me down, offer me a cup of coffee and not treat me like some kind of goon. Convenience, locality, opening hours, especially on a Sunday. And the other thing about that was if you pitched up at 10 o'clock on a Sunday morning, they'd have the job done in half an hour. That'd be brilliant. Trustworthy. The guys treated me like a human being. I didn't feel that they were trying to pull the wool over my eyes. Price, of course, was there. I don't want to pay over the odds. But they'd convinced me through everything they said about their pricing that their pricing must be reasonable. Whether it is or not, I actually don't know. I've never done a price comparison. Christmas turkey. Now, I don't know about your house, but if there's one thing that needs to go right on Christmas Day, it's Christmas lunch. Yeah? A bad Christmas lunch ain't too good. And the quality of that thing there, that turkey, matters an awful lot. In actual fact, it's probably the most important thing. If it's a rotten bit of meat, everyone's disappointed. If everyone has a great lunch, wonderful. Now we started using Sainsbury's years and years ago, and I think with Morrison's as well, we might have been to as well, years ago, before we had the family, before we were married, before the in-laws started coming, before all that sort of stuff. So we only needed a small bit of meat for the day. But then it grew. What happens? Well, at that time anyway, you couldn't buy a great big turkey at a supermarket. And secondly, well, we want better quality. We think we could get better if it was free range, which at that time, you buy mainly from farm shops and things like that. Christmas is also a time for giving something back. So why spend money at a supermarket when I can choose to spend some money with a local independent retailer, a butcher? Question is which one? There's two in Onfirth, which is where I live. There's the one on the top on the moors, where all the Mercedes and BMW 4x4s go, and there's the one down in town, just on the corner, where everybody else goes. Well, I don't want to line the pockets of some guy up on the hill. I'd rather go to the nice friendly chap, which he is, and give him my money on the day. And what's more, and I'll tell you what's better as well, when you go and queue outside his shop, and here's a one for you. You go and queue outside his shop on Christmas Eve, he's got a little table with a little pot of bubbling mulled wine, and you can help yourself to it. Great for when you're standing in the queue. So he's won me over. Why there? Trustworthiness, the quality of the item. Range, you can't get turkeys that big in supermarkets. Affinity, he's a local small retailer. Christmas is a time for giving. Other people, well, I buy locally anyway, but that was a particular example. And price, again, I didn't feel I was getting fleeced. I felt that it was a reasonable price. Had I done a price comparison? No, I hadn't. But I still felt it was a reasonable price. Getting the car serviced. Key issue with getting the car serviced is when it's in for servicing, you haven't got a car. Sounds obvious, doesn't it? But that doesn't mean you can go to Sheffield to get your car serviced and then walk all the way home. It means it needs to be local. Now, I'd started getting it done locally. The problem was I getting good service? Did I feel that I was being treated well? The guys at QuickFit had set a great example. I go to my local garage and I feel like I'm being treated a bit like a nerd. Yeah? They know more about their car than me. Well, they don't, but they're acting like they do. And am I really getting good service? You know, the price compared to what I feel I'm getting? Because let's face it, when you have your car serviced, have they really done it? You don't know. Because it's all going on under the bonnet. It's a bit like fixing a computer. Yeah? Unless it's not working, of course, obviously. So what were the things... Whoops, I haven't done the previous bit right. What were the things that attracted me and made me change to where I chose to go to? I started using a small local guide that was actually sited right next door to the chap that I'd been using previously. Nope, it doesn't want to work. That I'd been using previously. Why did I choose him? Because he was there. I knew he was there. When I went in to see him, he was slightly quirky, a bit odd, dirty overalls, but really enthusiastic, really, really nice and friendly, dead easy to get on with. That's fine. I continued using him when I had a suspension problem. Now this really set the example. Trailing arm suspension on the rear wheel. If I'd been at the other garage, they'd have sold me the complete unit, the suspension bush and the trailing arm, which is around about 250 quid's worth of parts. This guy says to me, funny, you can only buy Mondeo suspensions in one unit, but you know the frame of the chassis of a Mondeo is the same as a Jag. You can buy a Jag suspension bush on its own. If I get you, would you let me buy the Jag one rather than the Mondeo part? I'm absolutely certain it will fit. I said, yeah, because the price for the bush was only about 20 quid. He's won me over. He knows his stuff. What's more, when he changes parts, he shows them to you. Yeah? The dirty oil filter, the brake liners, yeah? The suspension bush, which he got out and said, look, here's the wear. The other one's going as well. It's not as bad as this. You know, next time you bring it in, we'll do that one as well. He's got my business. So why do I use him? Convenience. He's local. I trust him with the way he treats me. He's approachable. He's friendly. He's nice. He's a bit quirky, but he clearly knows his stuff. He's obviously expert. He's allowed me to touch, feel and try the old parts, okay, not the new, but the old parts, so I get that confidence and that sense of satisfaction. And lo and behold, his price is slightly better. But I didn't choose him solely on the basis of price. I mainly chose him. What won me over was this. Absolutely blew the other people apart. Double glazing. Back of our house needed new double glazing. Long story. Big sliding windows, metal frame, cold as anything, wind coming in. Where I live, the rain doesn't come down, it comes up, because that's how windy it can get. 3 companies, local companies, we called out. We went with the most expensive. How on earth did that happen? It happened because of this. First guy comes out, perfectly pleasant, comes around, looks up, does all the measuring, quick chat, what colour would you like? Yeah, we could do that in about this amount of time. Blah, 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 perfectly pleasant, off he goes. Second company comes out, first thing they say, these windows are very large for the extension you've got. Do you know if they're part of the structural integrity of the building? No. Do you mind if we take a look? So they start poking around. They actually asked to drill a few holes through some plasterboard to check things out, to check that there was proper bracing, lintels in place. We're thinking, this is interesting, this is interesting. I didn't feel like I was being sold to. I just felt somebody really cared and knew their stuff. Third company comes out, we're now armed, so we're thinking, right, will they ask the questions? Did they ask the questions? No, they didn't. So not only had the middle guy completely changed the game, he made the other 2 look daft. Local business, he also came, the most expensive also came with a good reputation for snagging. You know when you fit these sorts of things, they often change a little bit over time. You need to come along and have a bit of adjustment to make sure that the seals remain in place. Why did we use them? Clearly their expertise and knowledge. They're a local small business. We chose the three to come to us from local small businesses. They built an incredible amount of trust with us. They're not only on the basis of the snagging side of it, the after sales, but also from the point of view of their expertise. And he just was clearly superior. Price was an interesting one. He was the most expensive. We told him the prices of the other people we got. He moved his price. He still remained the most expensive, but he was willing to discuss it, which to me was a good deal. Now here's one for you, the busted boiler at home. You wake up in the morning, uh-oh, it's cold. Radiators, cold. Hot water, none. What would you do? Well, typically, if you know a plumber, you get on the phone. Hey Jimmy, busted? Boiler's busted. When can you come and have a look? If you didn't know a plumber, and you knew somebody who knew good people, which is another point altogether, and why you all need to be good at networking and being known as people who know good people, because it means people will come to you in their hour of need, and you can be helpful. You go to them and say, do you know a good plumber? And they give you a recommendation. And probably, because that person was good at knowing good people, you'd accept that recommendation, because good people don't know bad people do that. I'm getting a bit into winning new business there. But if you didn't know somebody who could recommend, you go into the dreaded distress purchase yellow book. You start at the beginning. Who's got the biggest ad? Which one do I think I could trust? And you start calling people up. And you call up 3 people. And the first one there on the phone, oh yeah, it's a Baxi 2500. Oh right, oh it's funny, I was only working on one of those last week. What's the problem you've got? That sounds similar to something I've seen before. Have you tried? Tell you what, put the phone down, I'll ring you back, right, I'll talk you through trying to restart the boiler. Still needs to put in a quote at the end of it all, it won't start. Next one. Doesn't say much. What model is it? Baxi 2, okay, that will cost X plus parts. Third one, pretty much the same. Nothing wrong, perfectly civil. And then come the prices. Who would you use? Who would you use? It's not a trick question. Probably the first one. Yeah, because they've reinforced everything about trust. This person sounds like they know what they're doing. Okay, maybe this one, but certainly not this one. And this is the issue with pricing. Yeah? Pricing can destroy your reputation, not because you're, well, expensive is one thing. If you're too cheap, you're a cowboy. Yeah? Major issues with being low price. So these are the kind of choice factors that exist. Now, many of them, there's not an implied order there. It's just how I put them up. I couldn't put price at the beginning, couldn't put it in the middle. Convenience, trustworthy, range, after sales, and so on and so forth. These are the reasons that people buy from you. So it is not all about price. Price is always a factor. Of course it is. People don't want to be ripped off. But it's never the main one. It's rarely the deal breaker.